Everyone loves Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had no Monday last. Well, we had a Monday last week, but no Monday. Right. So then Tuesday was the fake Monday.
Yeah. And then last week inexplicably lasted, I think you said 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This week's going to be complicated because I'm going to Seattle for that.
Yes, yeah.
Whatchamajigget. And
that's on Thursday?
Yeah. So I'll be out Thursday, Friday, I guess. I mean, technically I could probably. Well, no, I got to figure this out. I'd like to do like a show or two while I'm away if it's possible. But we have that time change issue. I don't want to do it at 6 o'clock in the morning. So you and I will discuss this offline. I mean, we'll figure something.
Actually, noon isn't the worst time.
Well, it's not just the time. I need to be in a place where the connectivity makes sense.
That is true.
So I'll figure something out. But we'll talk.
Well, here's what's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming you're able to, I'm assuming if you can get over to the Microsoft campus at all, just because they've bulldozed like a ton of it.
I am dying to see it. We have no time. We're there for, we don't have a car either. I mean, I'm sure there's ways to get over there, but no, it's just not going to happen. We just don't have time. But I'm hoping.
Let me down again throughout.
Ignite maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm hoping to get to Seattle again this year and actually, see people and do stuff,
Well, surprising and shocking, 0.0% of people, although I guess there's somebody who's probably shocked or whatever. PC sales continue to decline. That's not expected.
I like the list, though, of reasons. Like, I if we had talked about this at any point in the past year, I would have said something like, yeah, they're definitely going to decline. I mean, they went through the roof during the pandemic. That can't last, And it's almost like the end of the pandemic has almost nothing to do with it, which is kind of strange. So a month ago, IDC kind of came in and said, look, we expect them to fall by 8% in this year. And now Gartner, actually it was over a week ago, but they also chimed in and they're expecting, I think, 9.5%. And there's one of the reasons where you're like, okay, this is because of the pandemic. Consumer PC demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. That's going through the floor. But I got to read this because it's like consumer demand, like I said, supply chain issues, war, inflation, ongoing China lockdowns, although those have now ended, I guess, or maybe are ending. That was back in June. And then currency fluctuations, which I don't know if that's Bitcoin related or just in general.
I think it's
just general currency. Yeah.
I think they call those Forex headwinds. If you're a CFO.
Fun. Yeah. So anyway, lots of factors there. But I think the good news is PC sales this year will be significantly better than they were the year before the pandemic, which was 2019. Remember that year it was about 265 million, I think. This year, averaging their numbers, we're looking at about 316 million, which is, 50 million higher. It's great.
It's a lot of PCs.
And I think it's, we always talk about that kind of plateau effect in the PC industry, barring any factors that trigger a lot of demand or whatever. And 300 million is a great plateau for this business or for this market.
Yeah.
It's good.
I mean, everybody would like to sell 300 million of anything at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there are going to be similar issues. I didn't look into this too deeply, but the smartphone and tablet markets are probably likely going to suffer similar fates, for all the same reasons this year.
Yep. Well, if you are looking to buy a laptop, Paul, how is that Pavilion Plus 14 from that?
I love it. And it's interesting. Right now I have a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon I got to do a first impressions of. I've got an X1 Yoga, the latest version. I've got an Acer, which is actually pretty interesting. But this is, if you know anything about HP's product lines, they start out with like HP branded PCs, and then they go up to Pavilion, which is kind of the mainstream brand. And then they have the premium brands and the business brands and the workstation brands and so forth, Spectre and Elite and et cetera, et cetera. It's fascinating to me watching kind of high-end features make their way down market to Pavilion, and then the result is this laptop, which is actually wonderful. It's the type of thing I'd buy with my own money. You can get one for $850, and it's great, like an H series, not a P series, an H series, 56-watt i7 processor, right? 8 gigs of RAM in that case. I think the review unit is 16, 256 gigs. OLED display. Like seriously?
Yeah, that's a nice
fingerprint
display.
reader, great keyboard.
Thunderbolt?
It doesn't have Thunderbolt. So that's the thing. It has 2 USB-C ports. And actually it has HDMI and full-size USB and all that kind of stuff, and micro SD. But honestly, for most people, this is mainstream, right? So
Yeah.
I don't understand not having Thunderbolt, honestly. But then again, I don't really personally need Thunderbolt for anything I'm doing. It's not like you're going to attach this thing to, well, actually you could, I guess, to like 3 displays or whatever. But and there are versions that have discrete GPUs. It could be a gaming class, laptop. It's the kind of the sweet spot. It's like all the right specs for the most part. It doesn't have like the keyboard that doesn't light up, which is what was an issue I had with a Pavilion last year. You had to actually pay $15 to get backlit keys, which is like seriously. What? I know. So it doesn't have that issue, but it's just the right mix of features and price. And most premium PCs, I think, start $1,300 ish and kind of go from there. You could spend $2,500, $3,000 on a ThinkPad X1 of whatever kind. I think this hits at a really nice spot. It's a beautiful little computer. I'm going to bring it on the cruise and hopefully not drop it overboard when I take pictures of it.
But it was really great until it landed in the bottom of the Pacific.
Here's the last known photo of this crab food.
0 out of 10 boat anchor.
Yep.
And if you need another good laugh, I highly recommend everybody read what Google has offered to do to avoid antitrust. It was to take parts of their business, kind of bundle them up and just put them into another business, but still under their same business. It's just
yeah. So basically what would happen is the antitrust regulator in question, I think this one is the U.S. Department of Justice. So
I like how you have to qualify it. This one in question.
Well,
there's
a
many.
by like at least 117 different antitrust regulators and or governments. All they have to do is like Control H, replace every instance of the word Google with the word alphabet. Then the problem persists because that does not. If you want to spin it off as a separate independent company, yeah,
that's one
that
thing.
That would solve the problem.
But that's
also,
not what
don't
they're
you
offering.
think? Like, I'd have to look at this, but like, I don't know what their revenues were, but every quarter, I'm sure they're in the 50 billion range, something like that. You understand that 80-something% of their revenues comes from ads, right?
Right.
So Google emerges on the other side of this as a relatively tiny company, right? They're in some ways not the big tech company that I mean, except that of course they are, because it's they're owned by the same company and they are in fact the same company. But it's not even a structural change. It's like a paper change.
It is. That's all that it is.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Yeah. So.
How they laughed in the halls of the DOJ when they heard this.
Watch them approve it, and we'll be like, "What the?"
Yeah.
There's no way.
That's how dumb the government is. Oh boy.
Well, anyways, it's a Monday podcast. We'll be back tomorrow because tomorrow's
Sorry,
Tuesday,
everybody.
a day that ends in Y.